Welcome to the Destiny Awakening Interviews, a podcast with Andrew Wayfinder and his guests, bringing you powerful insights, inspiration, and ways to break free, live life your way, and make a difference in our changing and challenging world.
I'm Andrew Wayfinder-Renievich, and I'm joined today by Beverley Bramwell, MBA, ex-CEO, and Executive Confidence Coach for senior women professionals. A very warm welcome to you, Beverley, and where are you hanging out today?
Hello, Andrew. I'm in Southwark today. It's rainy, but the sun's out, so it's good. In London, I should say, in case you're wondering where Southwark is.
Okay, great. So, well, on to the subject of your work and your insights into, I think, a topic that is very timely, the question of redundancy, especially sudden redundancy. So Beverley is the founder of BeverleyBramwell.com, a former CEO with 20 plus years management strategy work with top CEOs and their teams. However, about 10 years ago, Beverley had to rethink and rebuild her career when her role was made redundant in a company restructuring. Surprised by the impact that that change had on her confidence and other issues in her life, Beverley did recover and came back with great strength. But because of that, she's become an expert in helping senior professionals navigate the crossroads and upheavals of their life and careers with confidence and control. So thank you, Beverley, for your time today. And your title today is The End is the Beginning. And Beverley is going to show us how to turn a shocking upheaval into success in 6 questions. So, Beverley, your time starts now.
Hello, Andrew.
Who is your ideal client, and what is the transformation you help them achieve?
They're senior women professionals who have been made redundant quite suddenly. And if not redundant, they are in that place of uncertainty at work. So it may not be happening now, but it may be about to happen. And what they've realised is that they're at a crossroads, which perhaps they had never considered before. Another job, changed completely, and that's where I found myself, that I realised that I had choices. And one of the transformations I talk about with women is about reconnecting to their ambition, to their purpose, to their desires and dreams, because easily, after 20 years, you may have lost sight of what it was you first wanted to do. And maybe you never wanted to do what you were doing, but you stayed in it, and all of a sudden now, here's an opportunity. So I help women to remember who they are and what they want, and remind them of what they want to do next.
Yeah, that sounds very important, that losing yourself. So, a little over a minute. Question number 2. What's the biggest challenge they face when they come to see you?
Self-doubt. We can call it all sorts of things. We can call it confidence loss. We can call it imposter syndrome. But it shows up as fear. And when you have fear, it can be enormous, but it stops you from doing anything. And again, it's there because you've lost that connection with yourself. You don't trust yourself. And so every single thing you question. You second guess the most minute of decisions, even whether to sign up with a coach, because I'm not sure if, and we start creating stories about whether or not I'm good enough. Can I do this? Will it work? Can I still do this at my age? So it's that fear that we have to deal with. And it's that fear of getting over the fact that it's okay to feel the fear. But one of the insights I've always got, and I say this even to myself, do it scared. The confidence will come. And you will be surprised that when you decide that, you take the weight off your shoulders. You can start to breathe.
Perfect. So a little over 2 minutes. And we're on question number 3. What's the number one insight you would share with a woman in that position right now?
I would say that whatever's showing up for you now that's telling you can't do this, let it go. If you're saying I can't because somebody might think, let that go too. Give yourself permission to show up. Give yourself permission to say, let me consider doing something else. And once you've given yourself permission, even if it's quite tenuous, you're not feeling strong enough to say, I own it, you're on your way. But it's about deciding. You have to make a decision. And you decide today, tomorrow, but you decide that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something else.
Okay, great. So 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Question number 4. What concept, book, program, or talk has been most impactful in your journey, in your experience for you?
Gosh, there have been so many. And that was probably the hardest question I had to think about, because there have been so many things that have made me think, that have helped me, that have supported me. But most recently, I was listening to a talk by a coach called Lisa Nichols. And because of COVID, we were all on Zoom, and she was the keynote for this conference. And she said this phrase, and it really it hit home. We are committed to familiar discomfort rather than unfamiliar possibility. And I thought, yeah, I get it. I totally got it. That we would rather stay in a place of not being happy, of not being satisfied, of not being ready, rather than stepping out there and seeing what I can do, exploring possibilities. But what you need to understand is, whilst you remain in that discomfort, you can't effect change. So you have to make a decision. Stay and be comfortable with your discomfort, or step right out and see what I can do.
It reminds me of when I talk about with clients sometimes is there's that voice in your head that's sort of going, stay at the back of the cave, stay at the back of the cave, don't go out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, there's probably something else I should add, because it's just come into my head, that somebody, social media writer, she wrote, lots of things are hard. And my one is, being stuck is hard. Moving forward is hard. Choose your hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's very, I think that's very wise. I mean, that it's sort of like, pulling the plaster off. The anticipation of it is often so much worse than what you actually experience.
Exactly. And I think because of, I don't know, whether it's the time now, we are convinced that we should know everything, we should have everything ready, like a sort of box of goodies. So I sign on, I know I should be able to do this, I should have my plan, I should know where I want to go. And if I don't know these things, then there's something wrong with me. And I think it's a hang up back to the fact that you've been made redundant and you feel there is something wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. Redundancy is just redundancy. You are not redundant. Your job is redundant. If it was done in a brutal fashion, then I'm sorry that happened. But forgive them, forgive yourself, because often you blame yourself because somehow you think that you contributed to that fact. And I could have done more of this and less of this. It's all just nonsense. Let it all go. Just let it all go.
Yeah. It reminds me of getting over a breakup. You start
yes.
doing that. What could I have done differently? It's too
exactly. It's exactly that. And sometimes it is sometimes just what it is. And redundancy is as big a thing as the breakup. But sometimes you just have to box it off and say, okay. But it's not about you. It's just the job. And like I always say, they clearly didn't appreciate your talents enough, and so therefore it's time for you to go on somewhere else where they do appreciate your talents, and leave them in the rearview mirror.
Okay, great. So just over 7 minutes. Question number 5. What free resource would you like to share with the audience?
I have a newsletter where I share content similar to what we've been talking about today. And it's a form of encouragement and it's support that you can dip in and dip out of. Some of it will be stuff you can read. Sometimes there'll be small podcasts. Eventually it'll become my podcast. But the idea is that it's another place that you can check out and listen to and think about, okay, maybe I'm not losing it. It's okay. And it's sometimes thought-provoking. And that's really what my newsletter is about. There is no big, thing. It is just a newsletter. Mm-hmm. But I think it's quite an important newsletter. And sometimes we need those words.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And that's at www.beverleybramwell.com/living-powerfully.
Yeah.
And that will be in the show notes. So at just 8 minutes exactly, question number 6. What should I have asked you, Beverley, that I didn't?
why I do this work is a question you should have asked me.
Okay.
I grew up believing that I can be anything I want to be. That's what my father told me. And he said, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. He said, it might be hard work, but that's all. You can do whatever it is you want to do. And that has been what keeps me going. Sometimes I forget that my dad said that, and then I'm brought back, and yes, I can do it. I can be anything. So if I've got that in my head, then I can move forward. And it's allied to the fact that I want to see more women thriving. I'm not saying they don't, but more women could be thriving. More women could be visible. More women could be seen in places they need to be seen as leaders. I think that we need a change as regards how people are recruited and who is recruited. But I want there to be so many women available to be recruited who are at the top of their game that they cannot be ignored.
Thank you, Beverley. That's a very beautiful ambition, and I salute you for it.
Thank you.
Something I see in my work, and yeah, you're right. So thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks very much, Andrew.
Thanks for listening to the Destiny Awakening interviews. If you have a friend who would benefit, please share and subscribe to the show on iTunes and leave a review. We really appreciate it. And remember, always use your power for good.